Hey everybody, I thought I would do a little demonstration here around what's it take to actually to process honey. I get this question a lot from people that are interested in buying my honey. They want to understand what happens. How do you actually get the honey from the hive into the little honey jars? So I'm going to show you how all this stuff works. This is basically how I started. I didn't have any of the expensive spinner equipment. When I first started, I had maybe 4 actual boxes. Some of those I actually made myself. But as you grow through your beekeeping and you get more time, a little more money from some sales, and you can start reinvesting. But you don't need all that expensive stuff you keep seeing at the Beekeeping Association meetings. You don't need any of that crap. You don't need a lot of their exhaustive advice how to manage your beehives. It's real simple. It's farming. You got to stay in touch with your bees, care for them, make sure they're looked after weekend. So let's get started, and I'm going to go over real quick and show you all the materials that I got so that we understand what we're doing. Okay, continuing on. So I pulled some honey off of the hives. It's probably third week in June right now, 2019, and we've had a real rainy wet season, so the bees really have a lot of moisture that they've been working on since February and March, so they've been actually cranking out a lot of the honey. And try to give you an idea, you want to definitely make sure that your honeycomb coming back, so this is actually right out of the hive. This is what it looks like when I pull the boxes off the bee colony, and they cap the honey. You can see the little caps on the honey itself, versus if it was unfinished, they would not have that waxy tops to them, kind of like these right here. These are not quite covered, but I don't see any honey done in it anyway. But that's how it comes out of the beehive. The colony works on it. They'll finish frame by frame. They'll work through all of these frames, get them finished up, and when I see and kind of feel the box, how heavy it is, then I'll pull it. In this case, I've got, I don't know, 3 or 4 boxes. So let's go over some of the materials you need. Again, it's just super simple. You need a food grade bucket. I got these up at Lowe's. Make sure they actually do have the food grade stamp on them. Don't just get the orange buckets. I think those are, they probably are food grade, but I'm just not a big fan of putting my stuff in utility buckets that look like they're utility buckets. But these are food grade. You can tell them they're food grade because of the emblems on the bottom. So it says 2 HDP. So that's definitely a food grade. Second thing is just some nice cheesecloth. You can get this through Amazon, and either a hard spatula or a pretty firm plastic spatula, either one. So I got a hard spoon, some nice flexible spatula. I'll show you why this is so easy. And then you're going to need a string or some wire, whatever, but you're going to hold this up inside the bucket. And obviously our lids, once we're done, it all gets finished, we can cover it up. So a little bit of walk through. What we're going to do is basically scrape all the honey in each one of these frames. We're going to put the cheesecloth into the bucket first, wire it around the bucket, and then dump the honey in here with the honeycomb all attached. And we're going to basically break up all the honeycomb cells. And then what we're going to do is, since the cheesecloth will be inside, is basically pull the cheesecloth up so it drips inside of the bucket, and then let all the honey get out. And then once that's finished, we will repeat the process to a second bucket. So the second go around will be just nothing but honey in the bottom. We'll remove the honeycomb cheesecloth, take that wax out, and then later we'll process the wax, and then we'll bring the cheesecloth back clean, and then we'll basically do the same thing. We'll put cheesecloth back on this side, and then basically pour the honey into the next bucket. And that's really what raw honey is. It's not processed. There's zero preservative additives. There's no curing to it. You absolutely cannot have water of any kind. So you make sure your buckets are pristine clean. These have been disinfected and cleaned. And you know, you kind of work just a real clean environment. So I'm on the back porch. I'd normally be in the kitchen, but I just need a little more room out here because of the many boxes I brought in. So let's get started. Let me set this camera down so you can watch, and I'll show you what goes on. Okay, hopefully you can see enough what's going on. So I'm going to keep the materials low. Look at cheesecloth. Again, it's right out of the package. It's really, really thin fibrous material. So you can literally see how see-through it is, but what it does is it captures all the parts and any dirt, any bee parts, anything else that's inside of the honey as you go through. So all we're doing again is taking our cheesecloth, putting it over, push down in the middle to give it some room, and just edge this around so it has plenty for that honey to gather into. Put a string around it or a wire, and it's just really to keep it from falling while managing this stuff. You have a helper. You probably have to do half this, but I don't. So I got to get through quite a bit of honey here. I'm just going to hold that, and we're going to start our first one. So again, you're trying to get the honey comb coming here, and once we get enough in there, we'll actually pull the cheesecloth up so it drips up out of the bucket. So all the honey is going through the cheesecloth and collecting. So here's our first honey frame, and again, all we're doing is just basically coming in the corner and scraping down both sides, and you know, with that we're basically just trying to get it inside the bucket. So let me see if I can get this angle up a little bit better. And again, this is all you need to actually process your honey. You don't need any of that expensive stuff. It's great. I got a honey spinner because I was doing so much volume. It is a time saver, and
by Innocent.
You know, if you're running 20, 30 plus hives, it definitely saves you some time. But if you're very small, I've gone down to 10, 11 hives now on purpose. This is an easy way to get it done. Sometimes it can be fun for, you know, including your grandkids or kids in the house or somebody else, that if you're the beekeeper, you know, how can you get somebody else involved? So I've scraped all of this off. Kind of give you an idea. This is what it looks like in the end. This is the broken up comb on the bottom. Right? So I can now take this frame, put it back in the beehive. They will eat all this honey off of it and actually rebuild the comb and start over. So let me tell you a little bit of reason why you might want to spend. This is a very long process for the bees to rebuild that. So if you're mid-season and you got a really good year going on, they're making lots of honey, rebuilding this comb actually takes a long time for the bees. So if you're mid-season, you do have a spinner access to it, or at least a friend's, I would recommend if you can use it, because it'll preserve the honeycomb on here, and then you'll be able to put that right back in, and they can immediately start filling it back on the comb versus having to rebuild the comb and then fill it back out. So that's really the key difference, why you may not want to do this way. But I don't. I've got a lot of other boxes already staged and I didn't want to break the spinner out just for a few boxes. There's, I don't know, 4 or 5 here. And with that, just get it done, get these boxes back to the field, and let them start rebuilding. So I'm going to process a few more here, kind of give you an idea, and let you see what it looks like. this can go pretty quick. I mean, it's almost as fast as you get these frames scraped down. And that's one of these. What I like about these flexible spatulas, they really get behind the comb and can pop it out, and they do a real good job of kind of cleaning the frame up. You know, that's the last pull. If you see this video and you're kind of new to beekeeping or just maybe curious, send me questions or reply. When you see it, I'll certainly answer all your questions and try to help you out. What I would suggest as well, if you're in the city and you're doing this, make sure you do this late at night. If you do it during the day, you definitely can end up with bees at your house from local feral hives, and they will come back. Meaning if they see honeybee, smell it and come into your yard, they will definitely come back for food. So this to them is fresh food off somebody else's hive, so that's kind of stealing off another colony's honey. And you just gotta be careful when you're inside the city. Make sure you do it late at night. Don't put on a bunch of lights. Try to keep your bug zapper going around you, and things will go real smooth. What I do when I'm using on the back porch like this, but I usually do it in my garage. Clean an area, make sure it's real sanitary. Set up a table, and then I'm either spinning, or I just do this. I got a few. I would say, like I said, this few frames, I would probably do this in my kitchen. It's not a big mess. So again, it's just kind of some examples. This is kind of an example where a frame where they did get some done, others they didn't. So when I come in and scrape this, I'm really just trying to hit these spots, leave the rest of the comb, and pick up, for example, here and here. In the middle here, they really didn't get this filled out, so I'm going to leave it and not worry about it. So that's the way it works. I'm going to switch here, but try to get an idea again. So again, when this is done, you can see all the broken up comb down there. It's going to look brown. There could be pieces in it. But this, cheesecloth is really going to do a great job of filtering out all the crap that's, can collect on the side of the frame, any bee parts, any dirt. And feel free to do this, 2-3 times, whatever you're making you comfortable. But in the end of it, you add nothing. You really don't want to put anything else in your honey. And then from there, it goes straight into the jar. Some people will use a bee tapper, where basically you just draw a small little spigot that they sell. You can put that on the side of your bucket, and it makes it easier to actually dispense into the jars. But because I'm going from this bucket to this bucket for the next pass, I don't have a spigot on here, and I don't need one right now. But when I actually have storage of honey, I actually put a waterproof lid on it. It has a pouring spout on top of that you can buy some hardware stores, and it makes it much easier to dispense versus the spigot, which sometimes they can leak, or if you don't get them down tight enough, they'll certainly pop out honey. But that's how all this works. It's real simple. This is the low cost, no cost way to getting this done. I think the cheesecloths are maybe $6 as for a full bag of it. Buckets are about $4 or $5, and obviously your kitchen utensils here, sorry, is all you need. And you've got honey. You'll see spinners, in between the manuals of $100 to $200 up to the great big ones. If you got a huge amount of volume, $400 or $500. You just don't need that if you're a small-time beekeeper. This is the easy way to get it done. It's also hopefully educational for those people that ask me a lot, how do I get the honey processed? All right, looks like the weather's coming in, so I gotta get on out of here, and may have to pull this operation to the side. So talk to you guys later. Okay, this is the last step. You need to get basically an A-frame ladder or something you can put a bridge across with the board. The honey that was pulled out of these frames was more than I expected, so I actually went ahead and used the second bucket just to use a standby. But you take all your honeycomb, put it inside of your cheesecloth, let it drip down into your bucket, and that'll be the first pass of your processing. But this little simple setup is all you need. Let it drip down on the bucket, and then we'll put a lid on that, come back, get the cheesecloth to this bucket that has all the honeycomb and honey mixed together, and then we'll process that one the same way you just see here. Combine the buckets at step 2, and then repeat the process one more time so we make sure we get everything out. The honey's nice and clear, and will taste great. So like I said, most of the stuff you have already in your house, just a simple ladder setup, cheesecloth, again, maybe $6-10 on Amazon, a couple buckets, probably need, I'd go ahead and get 3 or 4 buckets just in case, some lids, and just time and patience. But this is basically the last step. Again, you'll do this twice. You'll come all the way through with both buckets or whatever your bucket fills up to, process through your cheesecloth, do it a second time. After you've cleaned your cheesecloth thoroughly, let it dry. Make sure there's no water anywhere in your setup, otherwise you'll get obviously some issues with your honey down the road. But it does tend to make a mess. While trying to get all these buckets lined up, I got honey on the floor. That'll have to get cleaned up here in a minute. So just make sure you're working in an area that's not on the carpet, or you can easily clean up with some hot water. But that's it. Pretty simple, huh? And a lot of people have asked some questions, obviously, how all this stuff works. This is the very, very easy and expensive way, but as a beekeeper, you try to control all your costs as much as possible. You can see in here, we got a lot of still more honey to process. Those 4 or 5 box pulls that I did, this will probably end up being about 5 gallons of honey, and this will basically last all year, for me at least. And then I've probably got about another 25-30 boxes being built right now by the bees, so I have enough to sell to customers and give out as gifts and stuff. So that's how this works. Hope you enjoyed it. Talk to you later. Bye.